Hey, this is Garuda here. I wanted to talk about something that I've mentioned before, and that is in connection to my family and my own life here. I live on the Big Island of Hawai'i. I was recently had a run-in with the volcano over here, Kilauea volcano, and it ran us off of our farm. We've been there for almost 40 years, and the farm is not lava flowed on, but the air there is can't sleep there at night. It gets really dangerous, the air quality for your health. And so we also lost our business that we've had for all this time. We've been making a living there, me and my wife and 5 sons. And we have had to change our lifestyle radically. We had to move out of our farm, so we don't have a place to stay like we did before, and all the places that we built there, and we don't have an income anymore. So I was going to speak about, there's certain realities in this world that you can read about in the ancient Vedic literature, and you can experience them in your own life. And these 3 things are called the threefold miseries. I spoke about this in my first class, and the first one is, we can go either direction, but one of them is miseries caused by your mind and your body. So everyone knows what this means. The mind is constantly giving you some trouble, maybe not always, sometimes maybe it's helping you or whatever, but sometimes it hassles you, brings up all kinds of different things. And I know for myself, there's all kinds of different things. Maybe something happens in my life where I regretted saying something or regretted doing something, or maybe, of course, the worst thing is if you have some kind of a loss, maybe a loved one or somebody you cared about, and the relationship is broken, or death, or whatever it is. Maybe you have some kind of smaller problems, and you come back and think about those problems, and it's just, when I do this and I think, oh man, I don't want to think about this, it's just, maybe you do want to think about it, but a lot of times you don't. So the mind causes problems. There's so many different angles we've gone for a long time about that. So the mind causes problems. And the body. I don't know how you guys are doing, but my body has caused me all kinds of problems. I mentioned that last time about playing sports in college and high school and stuff, and before high school, and how it's affected my body. So, and that's just natural, right? Even if you don't have the problems I did, stupid as I was to play such a ridiculous sport as football. It's hard for me to even imagine. I talked about this before. So the point being is that the mind, the body, and then you have other living entities. Other living entities are always causing problems, whether it be in the form of, I don't know if you guys, where you guys live out there, but we have centipedes in Hawaii. And, there's 2 types. There's a big one. It gets about this big, all right? And it's about as big around, a full-grown one is about as big as your thumb, the thickness. Very, very substantial insect. And they bite from the front with the C-clamps, and it hurts. Well, twice in my 48 years in Hawaii, I was bitten in the face while I was sleeping. And when you wake up and you feel that thing across your face, and it's biting you, it's a hassle, and it hurts, and of course then you can't find it in your bed. And then you're not, you don't want to go sleep in the back in the bed, so you sleep on the couch if you got one, or the floor. And then, you hit the pain. So anyway, you get the picture. Like, you just fly that to so many other things, whether it be your next door neighbor, or whether it be this guy, the guy in front of you. I know for myself, I'm a recovering road rage person, because I always don't like people that don't do what I want them to do when they're in their other cars, and this causes me misery, and I've tried to let go of that, but it still comes out once in a while. And so other living entities. Of course, this is my mind, myself, caused me problems too. I realized I could just chill, be more cool about things, and I tried to, but I'm not always successful. So, and then you have nature. Okay, so I'm tying this together because one of my sons who I love dearly. For years now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the lava flow they had in 2014 over here. This T-shirt is talking about that. It came right down to the town of Pahoa, which is the town next to us, and in the back it mentions these. I don't know if you can see this here, but it mentions the different flows that have flowed on the Big Island, and it shows Pele, the volcano goddess, in downtown Pahoa, and somebody's surfing it, I believe, in the picture. So it's riding the wave of the volcano or whatever it's saying there. But so my son was always, not always, but he'd complain. But after when this lava flow was gone in 2014, he used to say quite often, "I hope it goes all the way to Pahoa." And I go, "Why would you hope that? I mean, what? That's our town. I mean, what?" He goes, "I'm just so sick of all these people coming over here," because he was born and raised here. So he's like, I'm so sick, because this place has just exploded over the years as far as the population. So he's sick of these people from the mainland and whatever. And I'm going, "Man, that's a really, what are you going to do? You just got to get along with people or whatever, No. I hope it didn't stop." And he was actually upset or bummed that it stopped. I mean, it stopped right above the town. I mean, you can just see where it stopped. It's pretty amazing. And so he's not happy with that. So then when it starts flowing again, 2.5 months ago, whatever it was, and he's saying, "Oh, good, now we can get rid of all these people. Some of these people will leave, and it won't be crowded like it is now, Okay, so then it starts getting really crazy, right? And then his house is now cut off, and his house is threatened, right? And not only that, but as it goes down the hill, there's all these. I mean, this coastline was so beautiful down there. It's just so beautiful. I mean, incredible surf spots. And my son had surfed since he was a kid, right? And you've got these famous surf spots, and he'd be, really beautiful ocean, beautiful, so many fish and turtles, and just a beautiful coastline with trees, and it's green. And the volcano, the lava has taken, all those surf spots are gone now. It's all gone. All the places. In fact, I told you this before, my sons went down there and spent the night at Kapaho, which is 500-600 homes were destroyed there, some of them millions and millions of dollars homes. And when they were down there, they spent the whole night there. No one else is around. It's totally evacuated. You can't be down there. But my kids know. They know the area. They know how to hike in. They know how to hike out. And they're not. They know the whole lava scene. They've been doing it their whole lives, being around lava. So they stayed overnight down there and went to all these different spots, then swam, and they saw all these different fish and turtles. And then here comes the lava. So the next day, here it comes. They see it come in. Out of respect to the people in the homes, they stopped filming when it started taking home, because they didn't want that. They didn't want that to be shown. These people, anyway, that was their thinking. And so they stopped filming. But when it got to the ocean heated up so much that the turtles were just screaming. Their pigs had got confused about the lava and ran into it, and they were screaming. And I don't think turtles scream exactly, but we're talking huge sea turtles, right? And they got cooked in this water. I mean, my sons were trying to get them out, and trying to help them, but there was fish dying. I mean, hundreds of fish everywhere. Things are dying, right? So this was really traumatic for them to see this, right? And go through this whole thing, And now, of course, after this has happened, at first my son was really excited because the lava's flowing, and he really loves lava, and he would go out to the lava thing, and he just really gets off on, he thrives on that rush of being close to this huge fish and just shooting at this lava, At one point it was almost 1,000 feet up in the air, and then this huge river just going down, traveling quite fast. I said before, there was something like 30,000, I think it is now, gallons of lava coming out of this fissure every second. So it's just an incredible amount of energy. But gradually he got tired of it all, because he started seeing the damage it's doing. He started seeing what's happening, So now a few weeks ago, whatever, he's starting to feel another way about it. He's starting to feel really remorseful. Yesterday we started talking about, I told him, I said, you can't think about it. I mean, what can you do? It's over. He goes, I know, but it's so hard, it's just like part of my life, and that's gone. He's having a hard time accepting the fact that this coastline has now been overflowed by all this lava, and it's no longer, there's no bay, the bay's gone, and now it's gone out and formed peninsula or whatever, still flowing in there. So here's a person who his mind was bothering him because other living entities were causing him misery, because there was too many people here, and he didn't like the vibe or whatever. And now that nature came with this lava and took away all these places that were so precious to him and precious to everyone, they were beautiful places, and now he's upset about that, so much so that he's going to the mainland. I don't know if he's gonna come back, I believe, but he's getting a one-way ticket. I know that, I think. Anyway, the point is he's going to the mainland, and and he'll be back, but he just wants to get away from it all. It's just like too much for him. The whole scene, that so much is taken away. So my point being that these type of miseries are real, and everybody experiences them. I don't care who you are, you experience these, no matter how rich you are, or how poor you are, or how smart you are, or whatever, how famous you are. These miseries are there in this material world, and they're there for a reason. The reason they're there is that it's a reminder that this place is not secure, that it's not going to last, and that it doesn't really bring the happiness that everyone is really thriving, and really not thriving, but is desiring, want. In other words, when we thrive, we have the pleasure and the happiness that we need. So a person who looks at this world as a place that's going to be able to give him, and the relationships that exist within this world, if they're based on the fact that you identify the person as being someone who can give me some pleasure in this world, you're going to be disappointed. That's the nature of this world. Now, I'm not saying this world is a bad situation. In one sense, it's not a bad situation. It's a very good situation. And what is that situation? That situation is that we can actually turn this completely around. In other words, everyone's different. I'm not trying to say that everyone's in the same position is the way they view things and how they see things, but generally, I know from my own experience, and people I know, and some people I know also don't think this way, of course, and that's what I'm striving to change, be more like the people that I look up to as being people who actually been able to turn this around. And the way it's turned around is that a person, because the reason people are looking for some happiness or something to get in this world that's going to bring them security or pleasure or fun, is because they're feeling a lack of that within themselves. This is the reason. I mean, if a person is, I'm sure everybody's been around people before that, didn't need certain things. Or, in other words, having a certain, in my life, I've always been a very needy person, so I was always impressed by anyone who could save something, whether it be a bag of, I remember one time a friend of mine, when we were in college, he opened up his drawer and he had some health food candy bars in there, and he also had a bag of Dr. Bronner's corn chips. I don't think they make those anymore, and I was surprised that he had them in his drawer, because if they were mine, I would have eaten them already, right? I mean, and I'm going, how long have you had these in here, And he said, well, I don't know, a couple of weeks, and I'm going, I didn't get it, Good stuff, good food, kind of stuff we were eating in college, And I was thinking, man, and I remember, as I could know this person better, he was like that in a lot of different things. So the point is that some people are not as needy as others, I wanted to get, some instant happiness out of those. I was even thinking, let's eat them now, but I didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to eat them now, and they weren't mine or his, but I didn't. So, point being that if a person can actually learn how to develop happiness in himself, this solves the whole problem. Then a person can live in this world happily and not be affected by these threefold miseries. Even the one of your body and your mind. The mind can easily might be putting it too easily, but it can be, with some effort, controlled. And the way that is controlled, where it's permanent, where you're actually solving the actual problem at the root, is that you take this need for pleasure, you take this need for security, I mentioned this already many times, and you pointed towards the Supreme. In other words, the source of all of this. The source of all of this is a person, and this person is the Supreme Person. He's the cause of all causes. He's this, I mentioned before, my first talk, he's the supreme enjoyer. In other words, God is not someone who just watches everything or manages stuff. He's a person who actually, his main function is enjoying himself. That's where we get this tendency from him. So he's in the spiritual world enjoying himself. So this joy that he's experiencing is also can be ours. It's our natural inheritance to have this. So the way we develop this or awaken this within us, revive it, is by hearing about the Supreme Lord. This is generally called kirtan. So in my life, for the last 46 years, I guess, 46, whatever it is, I'm not good now, but it's been a while. 1971. I've been trying to apply this process, of hearing about God. And of course, the Supreme Lord is the most interesting person. I mean, don't believe the commercials on TV, which you got that old guy with the white beard, the most interesting man in the world, It's a joke. Every time, I've seen it a few times, I almost fall on the floor laughing, And why is he the most interesting guy? Because he's surrounded by a bunch of young, tall girls? I mean, or because he drinks Mexican beer? I mean, the guy's not interesting at all, In fact, just a stupid actor, Well, the point is that God is the most interesting person. He's the most fun person. He's certainly the most cool person. All the qualities. He's the richest person. He cares about us beyond any that anyone could ever care for us. Nobody cares about us more. It's like his love for us is unconditional. It's not based on conditions. In this world, usually everything's based on conditions. If you love me, then I'll love you. If you give me this, I'll give you that. This is not really love. This doesn't satisfy the soul. This is really a bartering kind of system, You're bartering back certain services and favors or whatever to get people to do it for you. This is not satisfying. So the Supreme Lord and his love for us is unconditional. So, in other words, this idea that he's mad at us or he holds things against us, this is not true. It's only our own problem that we've created this dysfunction in the relationship. And this can be easily changed. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to sell anything. You don't need to join anything. You don't need to quit anything. You simply have to accept God through his names, through his pastimes, through his entourage, through his devotees, those who are attached to him. All of us are God's devotees. We're God's devotees who are attached to God, or we're God's devotees who are not attached to God. And if we're not attached to him, then that means that we're attached to this world, which is also his. But this world, when we're attached to this world and we try to bring it into our hearts and enjoy it, it causes all these problems. So a person who is happy in this world is one who's developed. This is a gradual process where you develop attachment and affection and ultimately love for God. It's no different than, I've talked about this already, but this process is definitely based on repetition, obviously. We'll say it again, that this process is gradually developed within a person. And what happens is it becomes, just like everyone's attached to whatever. Some people are attached to watching sports, or some people are attached to going out and buying this or buying that and getting things they don't really, whatever it is. So many things, people are attached to so many things. They're attached to intoxication, or they're attached to whatever. So many people are attached to so many things. They're attached to people liking them, or being famous, or whatever, being rich. All of these attachments are gradually, as they begin to become attached to God by hearing about him, because nobody's more attractive. We're not talking about becoming attracted to some old man or some old person or some person who doesn't care about us and has created this place for us to suffer or whatever. This is not the facts. You've got a lot of people saying a lot of things, but they don't know what they're talking about. If you're talking about God, then you have to know something about him. And the information about him is there. The people who know about him are there.
A person simply has to be interested. In my own life, when I was 20 years old, I realized, this isn't working. This is not working.
I'm realizing at 20 years old that this world, the people I look at and the people I see, I don't want to be like them. I see all these flaws inside their situation. I see, it's easy to see sometimes, not a good thing to do necessarily, other people's flaws and problems. So it got to be a thing with me, And so I decided before I moved to Hawaii, right before I moved to Hawaii, that, hey, I've got to change. I got to find something going on here. And I had this really strong desire. So anyway, I pursued different things and tried different things. And, there was some relief there through some of these processes and things I did, but it wasn't enough, And I came to a point where I just started to actually, which was something I haven't done too many times in my life, maybe 2 or 3 other times I'd done it when I was in life-threatening situations. I actually began to pray, and I asked for help, and I broke down, I cried, and I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and at that point, things started to change. In other words, because I approached God in that type of mood, then He responded, and within hours, days, He put me into contact with individuals, persons who were actually people that I immediately began to more and more appreciate that's what I want to be like. I looked at them, my spiritual teacher, and said, I've never met anyone like this before. I never met anyone like this before, that I immediately experienced that this person doesn't need me. And I also experienced that he cared about me. I'd never really had that combination before. And that was a small thing in maybe some ways, but it really was profound for me, because I said, wow, I felt like the door had opened, and then as time went on, as He taught me more and more and more, and I followed more and more what He taught me, then I began to experience exactly what I'm talking about here, that you can actually develop a real relationship with the Supreme Person within your heart. And by doing so, all these other things are still there. All of these hurdles and all of these obstacles in the material world, like the threefold miseries and old age and death and disease, and these are all still going to be there. But they can easily overcome them. You can easily cross over them. Most people, they can't. They stumble at these things. They're afraid of them. It's like hitting a brick wall. They get run over by them, and so on and so forth. I didn't want that. I wanted to be secure in my life. I wanted to be, more than anything else, I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be secure. And I tried. Believe me, by the time I was 20 years old, I had tried all the conventional ways. I think most of them anyway, to try to be happy. So I'd studied. I made my life work. I did not ever do 1 minute of homework in my life. I did not ever study in school. I went 15 years of school. I never took a test in my life. Seriously, I just filled in the blanks. My point being is that I had no interest in school, but I was constantly focusing. I never missed a day of school in my life. I was there every day, and I was alert. And I was alert to what? I was alert to the teachers. What are they doing? Are they happy? Looking at the other kids. I played with kids. I was a normal kind of kid, but I was always looking at things, because I didn't have time for school. I didn't even learn my ABCs. I'm not joking. I still can't do it. I get screwed up at the end there. You can say whatever, but that's a fact. I learned how to read when I was 21 years old by reading the Bhagavad Gita. So I finally found a book I wanted to read. I just didn't care. I don't know what it was about me, but I look back now and I feel that there was something inside of me that wanted to try to find something I didn't have. And that I was fortunate that I was a bit sincere in my breakdown and actually asking for help. And I came into contact with it, and applying that, of course, is, I've had problems doing that because I'm not very serious, but, as life goes on, you tend to be more serious about things because you start seeing that, this is a serious situation here. In other words, the seriousness is, how do you actually become happy? Everyone wants to be happy. So this process of hearing and then repeating, like I've heard all these things I'm talking to you about, and now I'm repeating. And then at the moment and later too, I'll remember this again. See, this is the process. Hearing, repeating, and then remembering. So this is a very simple process. My whole life I've been doing this. I've been hearing, I've been speaking what I heard, and then I remembered it. So this process is not something that's foreign to us. It just needs to be done with things which are beyond this world, that aren't from this world, that are from the spiritual world, which means beyond time and beyond space. This is who we really are. We're spiritual beings. This material world is not our home, but it's a wonderful place to be if you are trying to get closer to the Supreme Person, which is the really whole function of this world. All this world was created for that purpose. And when a person begins to do this, even any degree, he begins to experience a certain type of security and happiness, which you can't find this other places. It's like I said, it's not. This isn't a team thing. When you're talking about hearing, and you're talking about remembering, repeating, remembering, you're talking about something that's going on internally, right? Maybe externally you're hearing and from outside and you're speaking, but it's within you these things are going on. You're the one hearing, you're the one repeating, speaking, and you're the one who's remembering. So these things are something that's already within us. So we can take these natural tendencies and functions that we have and we can spiritualize them. And from this point, everything is spiritualized internally, including our mind, our heart, and all the misgivings and all the misunderstandings and all the doubts are gradually pulled out like weeds. You know, we got weeds all over the place, so you go pick one out, you know? It's like, you know, here this weed is, it's growing, you know, so you want to get rid of it. So you go over and you pull it out, you know? And then, now it's out, you know? And then the thing about it is that all these things are seeds here in the weed. So the way that you kill the seeds, because these seeds will resprout again, this is the plant or the weed that is crowding my heart, the misgivings and the misunderstandings and the doubts that I want to remove. So I can remove it by hearing and repeating and remembering about God, about the Supreme Person and His glories and His beautiful face and His beautiful pastimes and so on, His beautiful names. But the seeds are still going to be there. They're going to fall to the ground like this, and then they're going to fall, and that's where all these came from, more seeds. This is a very seedy piece of type of grass here. So the seeds are burnt. They're destroyed by one becoming more and more attracted to God. This destroys the seeds which crowd the heart with all these desires for things in this world. Things in this world that one, don't satisfy, and two, you can't hold on to them. You can't keep them. It's very important. We're not talking about religion here in that sense. We're talking about how we as individuals can become satisfied and happy in this world and be productive and be able to help others. Everyone wants to help others. Everyone's talking about, you know, help the environment. That's all great, dandy, but you can't just artificially want to live a simpler life. You have to become more simplistic yourself. And simplicity in its deepest form means that you are simply attracted to God. And because you have this attraction to God, you're attracted to others. In other words, you see that you have the same connection with the same person. Everyone does. I mean, you see people as your brothers and your sisters. You don't see them as their body, as being a woman or a man or black or white or Chinese. There's so much misunderstanding and hate in this world because of these misunderstandings. These are completely removed very easily. The plant is pulled out and the seeds are destroyed. And so these are all the things that crowd the heart, that keep the heart from actually experiencing this love that we're talking about. So the more hearing is going on, the more the repeating and remembering is going on, then the more it removes, so the heart becomes clear and clean. And a person can actually begin to taste this attraction, this love for God, and obviously, simultaneously, without any other effort, love for others. This is sweet. It's so sweet. And don't think that, you know, this world is a very insecure place. I mean, This is security that everyone needs. And even though our body may be falling apart or is getting older or whatever, or maybe we're not old or young, there's so many problems. There's so many insecurities and doubts that people have about themselves and what they're doing. And so many anxieties. Come on, this world is, people in America is just insane. People are, opioids and drugs and overdoses and dying. It's just like, the crazy things that people are doing. It's just, and this is all due to the fact that people are relying completely on their material side, their body and their mind and their material senses and feelings to satisfy themselves. It doesn't work. So we're advocating, or we're promoting, we're propagating this idea that people take spiritual life seriously. The names of God, it's not like there's a Hindu name for God or there's a Christian name for God. There may be names for God in the Bible. Jehovah is the name of God. He's the most powerful. Allah is the name of God. He's the most compassionate. But it's endless. He's also the most attractive person. He's the greatest pleasure. The names just go on and on and on. And these names are all referring to the same one person. This idea that how many people are dying right now? How many people have died in the past? How many people are fighting? How many people are displaced and now refugees and trying to find a country to fit into because of some crazy nonsense over some religious problems? This is crazy. Oh man, you want to be displeasing to the Supreme Person, then you hurt his children. You try to eliminate them or kill them or isolate them or not take care of them because they think differently than you do. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. This is so sad that people need to get a little bit over this. And you're not going to get over it just by okay, you're going to, now I got it. No, you have to actually remove the weeds that you've created in your heart so you can actually see things clearly, that there is just one Supreme Lord, and he's not part of some particular religion. Now these paths, if properly followed, maybe some of them could lead to God. I'm sure they could. There's all kinds of different processes they're given. It's basically saying around the same thing I'm speaking about. But that doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it, or you have to do it to that particular way. Well, even if you do belong to this church or that church or this thing, that's fine. No one's asking anyone to quit that. We're simply asking people to take it seriously in their own life, to hear about God. Hear, and then repeat it, and then remember it. This will have a purifying effect, and one's vision will increase. His compassion will increase. So we're obviously out of our time here, so we thank you for tuning in to us, and hope you tune in again. Thank you.